This is a list of the top 10 Middle Ages innovations, including military inventions in no particular order. Now let's start out with clothing buttons. Yep, you heard me. As simple as it might be, buttons were invented until the 13th century. Functional buttons with buttonholes for enclosing clothing first appeared in Germany. At a time when buttons were used for anesthetics rather than use, they became popular in the 13th and 14th centuries with the advent of snug-fitted clothes. Buttons have been used for fashion since the Indus Valley culture approximately 2800 BC. However, the ancient Roman civilization was the only ones in the Middle Ages that found an actual use for it. It's a saying that they consider this as technology. Eyeglasses, well, not these. Eyeglasses were another historic invention made in a time where food was scarce and people were really hungry, but they really needed to see. Roger Bacon made a first recorded observation on the use of lenses for optical purposes in 1268. Magnifying lenses fitted in frames were used for reading in both Europe and China at the same time. Eyeglasses were initially debuted in Europe, Italy, with Alessandro da Spagna of Florence being credited for the invention, and it was not until some years later that the convex lenses were first introduced as spectacle to help with farsightedness for the general public. Do you see that? Oh, shoot. Ah! The mechanical clock is ticking, it's talking, it's ticking, talking. The invention of the all-mechanical escapement clock is unknown. The earliest such devices have been constructed and used in monasteries to ring a bell that summoned the monks to prayer. Large radar-driven devices placed into towers and known today as tower clocks were the earliest mechanical clocks to exist. These early timepieces struck the hour and lacked hands and a display. Of course, it's not technology. The clock of Salisbury Cathedral, which dates from 1386, is the oldest surviving clock in England. A clock built in 1389 in ruined France is still in service, and one made Wells Cathedral in England now is in the Science Museum in London. Although we all know that the mechanical clock and its glory, it wouldn't have been made possible for not the creation of the first mechanical clocks in Europe around 1280. A vertical escapement is a device in mechanical clock that governs the rate of the gear, train, and regular pauses. It ticks and it tops, and it ticks and it tops. Oh! Wow, do you guys see that? Longbow arrow? Phew. Well, which brings me to the next item, the longbow. An important killing tool for the English was an important weapon deployed against the French throughout the 13th century. The longbow had a far faster rate of fire and greater penetration power. During the 100 Years' War, the English used the longbow to easily defeat the French cavalry. The English longbow was a formidable medieval style of a bow that was about 6 feet long and was employed as a weapon of war and for hunting by the Welsh and English. Of course, the longbow isn't around because it got weaker, broke, and were replaced rather than being passed down throughout generations. But who needs a longbow if you have the invention of a gun that's holding up your pants? Whoa! Do you guys hear that around me? Given that the Chinese developed gunpowder, it stands to reason that they also invented the tool for which it was designated for. It was also speculated that the black powder was developed by the Chinese in the 9th century. A few hundred years later, about 1250, Chinese inventors designed the pistol or firearm for use as a signaling or celebration device, and it stayed that way for hundreds of years until, well, you know who came along, right? And although the gun was created in 1250, the halogen hand cannon which dates back to 1288, is the oldest surviving weapon. Go talk about some gunpowder, which we need to utilize your fancy gun. The Chinese have long been aware of gunpowder. It did, however, become a major war material throughout the 14th century, succeeding in improving and expanding it as corn gunpowder and producing cannons. Cannons were the first employed in Europe, according to documented history. At the siege of Metz in 1324, Western Europe was the first to use corn gunpowder. It dramatically enhanced cannon power, making them more deadly. Oh crap. Okay, I give up. Okay, I guess they caught me. And I guess everything's gonna be all right. I just gotta figure a good way to get out of here.
Hello. Hi.
The spinning wheel. The spinning wheel most likely originated in India. However, its exact origins are unknown. During the European Middle Ages, it arrived in Europe via the Middle East. It supplemented hand spinning, in which individual fibers were taken from a mass of wood held on a stick or this staff twisted together to create a continuous thread and coil on a second stick of spindle. The spindle was initially mounted horizontally on bearings so that it could be turned by a chain surrounding a big hand-driven wheel. The distaff, which held the bulk of fiber, was held in the left hand while the wheel was twisted slowly with the right hand. The appropriate twist was achieved by holding the fiber at an angle to the spindle. Rotating bookmark. I'm sure you haven't heard that one before. Rotating bookmarks were a type of bookmark that was popular in medieval Europe. They were connected to a string down to which a maker slid to designate a certain level on the page. A revolving disc attached to the marker might indicate the column, usually number 1 to 4, indicating the 2 colors on the left-hand page and the 2 colors on the right-hand page. Approximately 30 similar spinning bookmarks have been documented in libraries across continental Europe, with another half dozen in England. Who would have thought such technology existed? Now let's go to the next one. Paper money. The oldest known form of the paper money goes back to the 7th century in China. It had a significant advantage over coins made of precious metal. In fact, they were considerably simpler to transport, which was a huge benefit of traders. However, the idea of putting a valuable on a marked piece of paper took some time to catch on. The Mongols attempted to bring paper money into the Middle East in the 13th century, but it was resounding failure. Regular banknotes would have circulated in Europe until the 17th century, but they are today the most prevalent manner currency ever created.
I got us a hole so we can be free.
Freedom is here. So good to get some fresh air. I thought I was gonna be locked in that crazy dungeon forever, but that old man, he really helped out. Now, let's go to windmills. Archaeologists discovered the first known uses of windmills in 1219 in China. Windmills were originally used to power grain mills and water pumps. Following the Crusades, the windmill concept expanded throughout Europe. The first European design were recorded around 1270s. These mills typically have 4 blades set on a central pole. They possess a cog and a ring gear that transform the central shaft horizontal action into vertical motion for the grindstone or wheel used to pump water or grind grain. this historic invention made way for others more notable devices to be made from it, which is an awesome deal. Well, this is the end of the video. You tell me in the comments below, what is your favorite medieval tech? Also, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and make sure to like this video. And until next time, guys, I'll see you guys later.